On today's episode of Rowdy Riley's Sports Review, I'm interviewing a good friend of mine, Brent Leber. Brent set a precedent for the Lipscomb cross country team, and you'll actually get to hear about it here in a few minutes. Brent, welcome on. It's been such a long time since I've seen you, man.
Thank you, Riley. It's great to be here. I'm glad you could have me on.
In my 4 years of knowing you, I don't think I've ever heard how or why you started running cross.
Yeah. So it started way back in, let's see, so believe it or not, I played football. I know it's hard to believe. I played football in elementary school.
You actually look like you could be a D-line.
Yeah, I played quarterback and safety on the football team in elementary school. And then I finally realized everybody else was growing and getting a lot bigger, and I was still pretty small, and I was like, I'm going to get killed if I keep playing football. So going into middle school, I decided I didn't want to play football anymore. But my family was a pretty athletic family. They wanted me to do something. So my dad said, all right, well, if you're not going to play football, I want you to play another sport in the fall. And we actually had these kids running cross country that would run by our football practices all the time. When we're doing wind sprints and we were miserable, they were just jogging around the park and they looked like they were having fun. So I was like, I'll try that sport. That looks fun. I don't know what it is, but I'll do it. My dad's like, oh, that's cross country. You want to try it? I was like, sure. And that's honestly how I got started in cross country. So
When you started running cross country, did you ever think that this talent would lead you to run collegiately, or?
I've thought about it, but I was still really into basketball when I was entering high school. So the dream was I really wanted to play college basketball. But again, I was at the time like 5'6", barely 100 pounds. So I wasn't really going to be college material to play basketball. And that's when I kind of realized, well, maybe like this running thing, like you don't have to be a certain size to be able to run. It's just about how fast you run or how far you're running. So I was like, maybe I could stick with that. But really, I would say I didn't think about actually running in college till maybe my junior year of high school.
So, what attracted you to Lipscomb aside from being recruited? Was it the faith aspect, or just being around a bunch of other believers?
Yeah, good question. So yeah, I grew up in a Christian home, and faith for me was a really big aspect of my life. And when I was getting recruited by Lipscomb, I was like, wow, they have Division I athletics, they have great academics, and they have a Christian university. Like, that's kind of the total package. So, yeah, for me, I would say the biggest part was my faith, but also when I came on the visit and just met a lot of the guys on the team and then met people just walking around campus, I realized how nice of a community it is and how gracious everybody is to people, just walking around people they don't even know. And I was like, yeah, I really want to be a part of this. So
skipping ahead a little bit, did you ever dream that you would make it to the NCAAs for cross country?
I mean, when I first got here, I was probably one of the slowest guys on our team, and at the time we had a team of about 30 guys. So to say, I mean, I might have had a dream way in the back of my mind that it was possible, but I really didn't. It's kind of was beyond my wildest dreams to ever get to that level of my career. Because when I first got here, I was just happy to be on the team, just happy to have a little bit of a scholarship to help pay for school, to get all the free gear. But realistically, if I'm being honest with myself, I don't think I thought, oh yeah, I really want to make it to nationals. So that was kind of a pleasant surprise.
I bet it was also a pleasant surprise to see a former teammate in garnet and black too.
Oh yeah.
Miss you, Silas.
Yeah, I do miss Silas. We miss you, Silas.
So what was running through your head when you found out that you had an at-large bid?
Yeah, that was a really cool day. So the day of regionals, we weren't sure if I was going to get in because it was kind of based on how the other teams in our region finished. And essentially we needed Alabama, the Crimson Tide, to be able to get in as a team for me to have a chance to go. So for basically 24 hours, we weren't sure if I was going to get in because the race was on a Saturday, or the race was on a Friday. The selection show was the next day on a Saturday. And yeah, my phone was kind of blown up with people saying, like, I think you got in. Other people were like, I'm not sure if you got in. And yeah, it was a whirlwind for 24 hours. We were actually at the movies, and my phone was blown up, and I couldn't pay attention to the movie because I wasn't sure. All these people were telling me different stuff, like, oh, like they think they're speculating, like Bama's going to make it, so you're going to get in, or Bama's not going to make it, you're not going to get in. So it was a crazy time. But on the selection show, when we finally found out, Coach Polk texted me, and that was a really cool day for the program. So yeah, it was exciting, but it was also, I didn't get much sleep the night before the selection show.
Oh, I bet not. So, do you ever consider yourself a trailblazer? I mean, because I clearly do.
I don't know, because for me, it was like when I got here to school, I had guys on the team that I looked up to. I don't know if you remember, like Jake Pointer. He was a big inspiration of mine. Christian Freeman, Juan Gonzalez, basically those three guys when I got to school were like, they were the big dogs on the team, and they were like the best our program had ever seen. And I was kind of always looking up to them. So, and some of the stuff they did with our team, I think really blazed the trail for like what we were able to do in the future. So really, I was just kind of following after them, and I would consider them the real trailblazers. And I was just kind of trying to emulate them as best I could, and they really helped me along the way. And I still keep in contact, especially with Jake, because he's a college coach now at Grace up north, and we still talk all the time, and I consider those guys mentors to me, so I'd say they're the real trailblazers.
So, I know injuries can be really common, regardless of what sport, and especially for you cross runners, labrum tears.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you living in Sewell for 2 years with guys like this. But in all seriousness, what injuries did you have?
Yeah, so I've had a bunch in my college career. Let's see. So I've had 6 stress fractures, which is like a tiny crack in your bone. All different spots in my body. One in my back, one in my pelvis, one in each of my knees, one in my foot, one in my shin. So, yeah, just about everywhere.
You mentioned that you're really strong in your faith earlier. How does or did your faith in Christ help you through those tough times?
Absolutely. Yeah, there were a lot of days. I mean, he completely carried me because there were definitely some dark days, especially like 2 years ago when you were still living in Sewell, where there were some injuries I just didn't know if I'd come back from. I just thought, this might be the end of my career. It was a fun time, but like maybe I'm just not meant to do this anymore. But it was one of those things where like I just kept praying about it, and the Lord was kind of telling me like, no, I want you to stick with me. I want you to stick with me, and like if you stick with me, like something cool will happen down the road. Now I didn't know that would mean going to nationals or winning like a conference championship with the team. I didn't know what that would mean. Yeah, the Lord just kept me really grounded, and he got me through those times when I really didn't see a way that I was going to be able to get through those injuries. So he's the one that kept me in the sport, and by all means, like, all glory to him for anything that happens on the course or on the track, because I know that he's the one leading the way.
You mentioned that Juan Gonzalez, Christian Freeman, and Jake Pointer were the original trailblazers. But who, in your opinion, was the most influential person in your collegiate career?
Yeah, that's a great question. So he was only here a year, but so he wasn't necessarily a trailblazer in our program just because he wasn't here long enough, but probably my most influential person that I went through on the team with, his name was Sean Hurd. So he was actually a 5th-year grad student. He transferred in from Western Kentucky when I was a true freshman. So 2015, that fall he came in. I was just a little bitty freshman, and he was like a grown man, graduate college student. So I would say, I mean, he taught me so much. In just the year he was here, we had such a tight friendship. And I actually went to his wedding a few years ago, so we still keep in touch. And yeah, he was just a huge inspiration because he was the one that kind of taught me that, like, yeah, you come to college and, like, part of your experience is running and competing, but that can't be, like, the end-all, be-all. There's way more to life, and, like, he's the one that really got me. He sparked my faith, and we could have, like, deep conversations about just life in general and stuff outside of sports. So definitely Sean.
Who's challenged you the most, whether it be a teammate or a coach or someone else in athletics?
Yeah, good question. I think for me it's probably Coach Polk. Coach Polk came in 2019. I didn't know him at all. He didn't know me. All he knew was I had a crazy injury history and was hurt half of my career. And, you know, he really took a chance on me, and he challenged me. He's been challenging me for the last 2.5 years now, just to show up and to put in the work. And if I trust him fully with what we're doing, like, I know he's going to lead me to where we want to be at the end of the season. So, yeah, really just challenging me physically and mentally to just show up, give my best every day, and ultimately just trust the training that he's giving us. And yeah, he challenges us very well. I mean, we just had a workout yesterday, the week of conference a few years ago. I don't know if I could have done a workout that hard, and that's only a few days before the race. And it's like, oh, are my legs going to be tired? But it's one of those things you trust what he's saying and you do it. And it's a challenge, but it's a challenge we accept. So
being around y'all so much and having heard stories, can you tell me of some fun times that have been had on the team thus far? Slide through school.
Oh yeah. When we took all those mattresses out of the storage closet, and we were just putting them down the stairwell and jumping down them and doing, like, races through the hallways. Yeah, that was. You remember that? You participated with us in that. And then also we did something really fun one time. One of the guys in school actually had a ninja sword. Probably shouldn't have had a ninja sword at all. We're not sure where he got it, but we actually went to the caf and we got a bunch of, like, bananas and fruit, and we had someone stand at the end of the hall.
Real life fruit ninja?
Yeah, and we started throwing fruit up in the air, and we were trying to slice it in the air like fruit ninja.
Speaking of fun, what was the most fun high school or collegiate cross meet? And why?
Yeah. I have to think about that one. I would say most fun. I mean, it might be a little biased, but because we won, but I would say my most fun meet that I've had so far in college was probably when we went to conference 2 years ago in 2019 in the deep south of Florida and won a conference championship by 1 point against Liberty. There's no better feeling than that.
Hey, at least there's one sport we're better in than Liberty.
That's right. Yeah. But yeah, I would say that was the most fun, just because, especially after the race, we just had such a great time, just kind of carrying on, and everybody was in a good mood, and we actually got to fly home on the same plane as Liberty. And we were holding the trophy, and they were awkwardly sitting next to us on, like, the seats on the plane, and we're just like, oh, you guys have one of these? Oh, sorry. So yeah, it was a great.
Or what you should have done was said, "This is all ours. You have 2 basketball back in Blacksburg."
Yeah, they'll get us in basketball. That's true. That's true. But yeah, so yeah, it was a really fun day, and just good memories with the guys, really close friends. So
I miss that team.
Yeah, it was a fun team.
Speaking of the team, who on the team made you laugh the most?
Is this, like, current or just in the past, or either?
Since you've been at Lipscomb.
I gotta say, probably the funniest for me, who's made me laugh the most, probably Sam Shaler.
Oh God.
That guy's one of a kind, man. I don't think I've ever laughed harder than at some of the stuff Sam has said. And this could be in the middle of practice, this could be after practice, this could be before one of the biggest races of your life. He keeps it really loose, and he'll make you crack up. So I would say Sam Shaler.
Oh God. Real quick, and then my last question. when you were answering that question, all of his stupid little jokes were coming flooding back into my head.
You'll never forget him.
Dang it, Sham! So where can people find you or the cross country and track team on social media?
Yeah, so my social media handle on Instagram is Brent.Leber, so pretty easy to find. And then I actually don't have Twitter, so Instagram's probably the best for me. And then in terms of the team, Lipscomb XCTF, you can find that on Instagram, and they have the same handle on Twitter. So yeah, those are the best places if you want to keep up to date on what we're doing as a team through really the fall, the winter, and the spring. You can go on there, and you can go on my account. I don't post a ton. I don't have a lot of stories on my account either. I'm pretty under the radar when it comes to social media, but
Yeah, I can attest to that.
you can find a lot of my teammates on social media too. So you can definitely always figure out what's going on with our team.
Well, dude, this was so much fun. Thanks again for coming.
Yeah, thank you so much, Riley. I appreciate it.
For more Rowdy Riley sports review content, click to subscribe.